you manage student behavior during non-lecture class time or independent or cooperative study time?
What I found the best way to do that to manage the behavior is to be visible.
Okay.
So walking around the classroom is important.
Yeah.
On occasion, you may have an opportunity where, of course, the teachers read. Sometimes I'm multitasking, so while students are taking a test or doing independent work or doing group work, and I'm perhaps like taking attendance or inputting some grades or perhaps responding to an email,
Okay.
then I also think it's important to make eye contact, verbal cues a lot to let them know I'm watching. And if I see students that are talking, then I'll say, Leslie, did you have a question? You got everything? Or if I know I have certain students who struggle sometimes, I just kind of look for their verbal cues. Like if a kid, they're frowning or something, and typically, especially when they're off task.
Yeah.
But I'll just make sure it's either proximity or just direct communication. That helps out a lot.
How important is a routine to your classroom? Do students behave and work better when they are following their typical routine, or do students struggle on days when the routine is not being followed?
What I have found in the last several years, that definitely having a routine is extremely important,
Okay.
especially with freshmen. So I teach freshmen and sophomore. Typically with the older classes, you may be able to kind of change things up a little bit. Sometimes we have fire drills that are scheduled, unscheduled, they're assemblies. But I think that when the students have a routine, it's easy to set the expectations for them to follow. And I do find that most of them behave and work better. On occasion, typically like right around Thanksgiving, and then again right after spring break, then their minds and their bodies begin to reset for the holidays. So sometimes it's good to just kind of break the routine up a lot. And so what I do in order to maintain the classroom management, I keep the routine the same, but I rearrange the classroom.
Okay.
And then every quarter, I rearrange seats. So the kids aren't constantly sitting with the same friends.
It's something different.
It's something different, and I add sometimes different decorations or different elements to the classroom so they don't feel like it's the same thing 180 days all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Do you find it beneficial to develop the classroom rules together with students or present them prepared the first day?
So what I do is I have a set of classroom rules, and typically my rules are incorporated embedded with the school rules. Be respectful, be responsible, be ready. They have to have some rules, and know what my expectations are. Now, as the year begins to progress and I see how the classes are, then some things will change.
Right.
Some policies, such as I tell the students, I don't mind you bringing food or drink in the classroom as long as you clean up behind yourself. If you do not do that, then that rule is going to change. And it may be on certain students who continue to break that particular rule.
Right.
Because I think there needs to be set, established rules for the whole class, but I think you gotta treat kids individually. Some kids may have, I may have a student who I know have issues at home, and they typically are gonna come late, and they're gonna typically come with something to eat. And so those are kids that I just build a relationship with all of them actually, but just make sure they have an understanding. Sometimes they forget, walk out the room, and I remind them the next day, yesterday you didn't throw your food away or you didn't put your stuff away. I need you to take care of that. And then I just I give them opportunities to correct the behavior. But yeah, I think it's important that they feel some ownership in the class.
Okay.
And you'll find in teaching, especially at the high school level, because you have 5 classes, each class is different. It depends on the population, it depends on the demographics. I had one class last year, I only had 6 girls in the class. Oh yes, that was very interesting. And then it was the opposite in another class. And then I have like my honors classes are a little bit more independent and engaging than some of the regular courses or freshman versus the sophomore courses. So I really try and allow them to build that culture and stuff in the classroom so they do have some ownership.
Okay. So what would a typical day in your classroom look like? And some ideas would be like, what sort of problems have you come across?
So a typical day, I'm almost always, I'd say 98% of the time, standing at the doorway when the kids are coming to the classroom. Greet the students by name. You learn a lot. You can tell what kind of mood the kid is when they get to the door. So if there's something going on, they kind of animated, then I can pull them over to the side, send their little buddies in and say, what's going on? I also use that as a time of conference and say, hey, I just put the grades in. Have you checked your grade? You need to go in and check your grade. Once the bell rings and I enter the classroom, I always speak to my students. And if they do not respond, then I will walk back out the door and re-enter. Because I explained to them it's so important that we build a environment of respect and just being cordial to one another. And instead of just jumping right into it, you know, so I'll come in and I'm like, hey, how's it going? You know, good morning, everybody. You know, some kids say, hey, you see Scandal last night? Because my kids know me. And then I direct their attention to the board because I always have what we're going to do on the board. And so if the bells ring and the kids are kind of a little off task, then I typically just stand. I'm not a yeller. And it's always one or two kids will notice that, and then they will self-direct the rest of the class and say, hey, guys, she's ready, you know, and stuff. And I'm like, thank you. And it's okay, here's what we have on the agenda for the day. We're going to be working on this, we're going to be working on this, these objectives. Don't forget, you've got homework, got an assembly coming up next week. Don't forget to charge your iPads, because tomorrow we're going to be doing this,
Right.
and get the day started. And then we just kind of go with the lessons. Every now and then, there may be some big issue that comes up, or kids have questions, or we realized from our previous class that things didn't go well, and then I'll just kind of take a quick survey. And that's usually how that works.
Do you use a reward system in your class to reward good behavior? If so, what is your system? If not, how do you recognize good behavior?
So, at the beginning of the school year, I typically have like a lot of gift cards, like $5 gift cards, McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts. And there are those occasions where I will do something. So, if I have kids in a group, they finish an assignment, they do a presentation, and they do a really good job of it. Then that group will get bored. There are some students who are very focused and very respectful. And the things I reward them with are sometimes I have these little manipulatives and little things the kids and stuff want to play with in class. I do keep a Jelly Belly machine on my desk. So kids will come up and they know I keep candy and snacks and stuff like that. I don't like to separate, but I like to acknowledge the good things that are going on. And I think kids need to know that it's not just in my class, but it's in the whole building that good behavior is rewarded. And in life, you get rewarded for those things you do. And that sometimes the reward is just the satisfaction of knowing you did the right thing. I don't try to make my rewards always a tangible type of things. If I come in and kids turn the assignments and I do the grades and I look and I'm like, oh my God, you guys we've had 100% attendance in the class for like the last 2 weeks. Nobody has missed. We had, everybody turned in an assignment on time today. Then we began to talk, and so I said, we get the last 5 minutes, or I'll sometimes say, okay, I'll give you an extra day on this, or you get 5 minutes internet time or something like that.
What's expected of your students when they walk into your classroom every day, and how are these expectations established?
It may seem off the wall, but one of the things that my kids expect us to know what we're going to be doing for the day on the board. And if on some occasion I may have had a meeting or it's still up from the day before, they'll be the first ones to say, we did that yesterday. They'll remind me that. My room has to be clean and it has to be orderly and organized. I think kids need to walk into an environment that is conducive to learning. And again, that first day, it's going through those motions. Typically, the first week of school is getting them acclimated to coming in when the bell rings. High school, it's a little bit more of a challenge simply because they're social. And a lot of them think, well, until she starts talking, class doesn't start. Well, I'm trying to get them acclimated that when the bell rings, that's an indication that my time, you're now on my time. So I need you getting your materials out or just waiting on me And of course, that comes with making sure that I'm prepared. So when the bell rings, I'm not moving around and being distracted because you give them too much time. Then the 42 minutes of class is lost.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get them back on track. So modeling what my expectations are, and sometimes it's a challenge because they go from class to class to class.
Right.
And if there was a big incident or something occurred or somebody posted something on Facebook or Twitter, that can throw things off. And so again, it goes back to if I'm in the doorway, I'm telling them, get your novels, take out your independent reading book, make sure you've got your homework, make sure you've got your iPad out. You're gonna start reading a story or whatever. So giving them those expectations as they walk in the door is important too.
You ever come across a disagreement with a member of administrator or administration? How do you handle it?
Wow, interesting question. My personality type is I like face to face. This age of technology, email, the interpretation, there's a lot of room for misinterpretation and tone and things of that nature. Sometimes you're just firing off something and it can come off a bit quick. So having been on the other side of that table, having been an administrator in a classroom, I know the importance of communication.
Right.
So I typically will catch them in what I call stand-up staff meetings
Okay.
and say, when you get a minute, can I talk to you? I also recognize that not everything has to be documented. And I think email does that. It documents that there's an issue. And sometimes I have to give them, and anyone need to be given the benefit of the doubt, even if it's another colleague who maybe said something, that I just look at the totality of the situation. But I believe that you go to them first and then just share, here's some concerns I have. I think language is important.
Right.
It's not like I disagree. It's, I have some concerns, can we talk about this? And here's some things I'm seeing, there may be some issues,
Right.
Or I'm struggling with understanding why this is required. Can we tease it out a little bit? Because the fact is they're in administration for a reason, and it's part of my responsibility as a teacher to do that. Now, there have been times where I'm not in agreement with a consequence that's been given the student or what some of the new policies and procedures may be. But I know my job is to support the administration the best way I can. And I typically go into any situation with the administration where it's not about me as a teacher. I do find, unfortunately, that a lot of teachers will make it about them
Yes.
when I have to put the best interest of the students in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So how is this going to affect the students? And what does this look like with instruction and curriculum and discipline? And then we move from there. Because I think if we can all be focused on, here's the kid, and here's the reason why we come here every day and do what we do, then we can move from that point. So it's always moving to a point of agreement or commonality. What's our focus? And then we can kind of work it out. But I've never had a situation where it didn't work out. And I pretty much agree with what our administration is doing.
So what options do you have for voicing concerns about the principal? So
it's, again, interesting in that our current principal was the assistant principal of instruction. And prior to that, he was assistant principal of student services.
okay.
So he had taken my job when I had moved over to another building. And so he has an open door policy. All of the administrators prior to him, all of our administrators,
Mm-hmm.
from the APO of operations and assistant principal of athletics, they have an open door policy. Again, you can email them. Their phone numbers are available to us. They are visible in the building. Again, I was just trying to be mindful, and I think it's only because I've been on the other side
Right.
of that, so I'm aware of that. And again, we have staff meetings and we have what's called this resource meetings. And I think our building does really well in that. When they begin to hear some of the grumblings or some things that's going on in the building, they don't have like a volunteer resource meeting. So if you want to come and you want to address those concerns, you can, and you're always willing to do that. I also think that because of my relationship that I've had in the building, the positions I've had, that I have personal relationships
Mm-hmm.
with them, so I can be very open and very blunt.
Good.
And I feel free to say, that's not gonna work. I'm just telling you, I'm just warning you.
Yeah.
Or to say, there's some issues going on and staff are not happy, and I think you guys should be aware